the worst moments of our life.
Hey girl, hey, that's bad.
So speaking of like worst ever experiences.
That is the worst ever.
I don't feel so good.
And that was my worst audition ever.
How bad can it be?
And we feel that pain is best served funny.
Welcome to Worst Ever Podcast. I am Christine
Welcome to
Lakin.
Worst Ever Podcast. Yes, you are. And
You have so many masks on. It's like mask under mask. Okay, he has a light up mask. He's programmed it to say, I love you. That's so nice.
oh, I know, but this is what I really wanted to say.
Oh my God. Pac-Man. That's amazing. I've never seen a digitized mask. That's really great. How many masks do you think you own now?
I pretty much own a mask. I had a program to say I am your host, Alaa Khaled, but I guess I erased it on accident. Yeah.
We have
Anyways,
a lot of masks.
I probably have a mask. I have a mask for every occasion. I'm not gonna lie. I have a breakfast mask. I have a lunch mask. I have a daytime mask. I have an evening mask. I got silk masks for like black tie events. I got
Great.
Sparkly masks. I got sequin masks. I got light up dance masks. I got clear masks. This is one of my favorite masks. Let me go grab it. Excuse me.
I mean, you guys, I don't know what to do with him and his masks.
This is one of my favorite masks. This is a clarity mask, and it's so comfortable.
Okay.
Ramona Singer wore it on the reunion of New York Housewives.
The whole
and
time?
It's her friend, I guess. But it's a clarity. No, when
I
she
like
entered.
it.
The mask
okay.
Yeah, it's so comfortable. It's got a no fog spray, so it doesn't fog up. And it's like the most comfortable mask. I know it looks like it's like
It actually,
uncomfortable, but it's because I can breathe.
it's kind of like wearing goggles from the nose down.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And I love
great.
this mask. This is going to be my airplane mask for flying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Great. Well, you've got one for every occasion. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys, Alaa's been working out like a fiend. We had a workout scheduled this morning. I was supposed to join and at 7 a.m. and I was like, yeah, 7's not a problem. I'll be there. And for whatever reason, today was the day my kids decided to sleep until 7. So I woke up at 7 like, oh no. Brandon's like, I thought you were working out. I was like, I thought I was too. Whoops. I guess I'm not.
Yeah, I knew she was going to flake. I was like so ready to like kick her ass. I called my trainer. I go, she's fucking coming. And I go, and she's going to come in with her little skinny outfit. And then my trainer goes, wear all black. My trainer goes, wear all black. I go, I know. I'm like, I'm going to look like a fucking whale next to her. Because I'm like, this girl, she like runs marathons and things, but I'm going to beat her.
I do not run marathons.
I'm going to beat her. Yeah, I'm going to beat her. And I was like, when she didn't show up, I was like, she's such a pussy. I go, she's so scared of me because she knows how competitive I am. I'm going to beat her. You know, we had the tire all ready for you.
Oh
yeah, well, whatever. I'm like, what's her excuse?
I'm coming back. No, I'm coming back. But I have
coming
to tell
back,
you,
you've never come.
No, I'm coming. I'm telling you, I'm gonna come. Maybe I'll come Friday. How
Friday,
do you want to tell
8 or 8:30?
Great, I could do either. How many pounds have you lost? Let's just get before we have our guest on. I need all the updates.
Okay. We're gonna do a solo show too because I have so much to talk about, anyways. But I've so far my next weigh-in is on Friday. So far, I've lost at least 10 pounds.
Wow, that's great. Good for you. I can tell in your face. Your face looks thinner. Yes, like I can tell, like here, in the neck and the face. Good for you.
I mean, I think I'm getting muscle too, because she's like, oh, you're getting defined. Like I was getting these like dimples right here. And I was like, I don't want too much muscle because I don't want to weigh more, I'm like, I want to like be skinny. She's like, no, we're just defining you. Don't worry. And I go, no, the scale means a lot to me.
But you see, the thing is the more, so there'll be a moment where you stop losing so much, but because you're
Right.
also gaining the muscle. But the thing is, you'll automatically burn more calories throughout the day
Right.
because you have
Well,
the muscle.
I'm eating a lot better. I also have, apparently I have my bad cholesterol is at 100, and I went to the
Uh-huh.
cardiologist, which we'll talk about more because due to having COVID, and I am
Yeah.
the major carrier here in Los Angeles. I've
You are the
given
super
it to
spreader.
everyone. Right. I'm the super spreader to our friends. I've gone to a cardiologist and all that stuff, and I have heart disease in my family and the whole bit. So he's like, I want you below 70. So he's going to put me on cholesterol medication. And I took one pill and I was constipated. I was like, this is not going to work. I can't be constipated. Like, I got to poop. So I called my regular primary. She's like, okay. I changed my diet and I started working out. So can we try it? She goes, yes, I'll do another blood panel. Cause I did the blood panel before I started working out.
Right.
So I do another blood panel to see if my cholesterol went down. I've been taking this cholesterol. I'm trying to cut down on eggs and meat, like steak, because I love steak. Anyways, whatever. So due to COVID, as a long hauler, we get the brain fog, that there could be inflamed heart tissue. So I'm getting all my heart stuff. You got yours checked out, right? You're fine?
Yeah. I had my stress test on Monday.
How'd that
and
go?
It went good. I mean, I've never done anything like that before. I've never really been to a cardiologist. So the funny thing is, so you go in, first of all, I had to have a COVID test for the 2 days before because you can't wear a mask when you're running on a treadmill. So then you get in there, they hook you up to these electrodes. They do an ultrasound of your heart, take images.
Yep.
Then you get on the treadmill
thing.
and you start walking. And you're like, oh, whatever, this is easy because you're like walking at this incline. But every, I guess, 7 minutes or whatever, it goes up and it goes a little faster. So even I, by 15 minutes, I was like running up a hill on this treadmill and I'm like dying. Like my heart was at like 170 and they're like, you're doing great. You're doing great. Like, let us know when you really need to stop. But like, they want you to get to the top so that they can see how your heart recovers. That's the deal. So,
what'd you get your heart to?
172.
Okay.
But my resting rate is like 65.
Is that good?
It depends for everybody. It's just low. It's just low.
I want to beat
65 is low. Okay, well, it's not a competition.
It is
for
now.
Heart rates. Okay.
It's competition.
But here's the thing. They make you take off everything from the waist up. So that means I can't wear a sports bra.
What do you mean?
Want you to be like running on a
Wait,
with like a gown on.
Your titties are flopping?
It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, how are people doing this? I'm like, but what
Why?
about
Because they have
because
they have the electrodes on your heart and stuff, right?
Right. But you're wearing a gown like open to the front.
If I can't wear my sports bra, I'm gonna be flipping out.
I'm telling you, I was like holding my boobs as I'm like I was like kind of walking, and then I started running, and I was like, I mean, it's so weird.
I do my stress test next month. I have another sleep study. I do have sleep apnea. So I have another sleep study with the machine to see how much oxygen I need. I can't wait to do that because I can't wait to have a final good night's sleep. I've never had that in my life.
Oh, God.
I did buy sleep gummies because on my birthday, which a lot of fans missed because I didn't get a lot of Starbucks card except for you. And Nathan P.I., thank you so much for the videos, and the workout video is great. I would have chosen a more aggressive song from Rocky, but that's okay. Maybe it was a rights thing. I don't know. But I was like, I just need something a little more pumped up. Anyways, thank you for the videos. Amazing. He sent me Amazon gift cards, which was so sweet.
Oh, that's so nice.
He's the nicest guy, and he's so talented.
I know. I mean, he's really, our fan and friend, Nathan, if you guys have checked out our YouTube channel or any of our posts on IGTV, he's the one who's doing all of these graphics. He's putting these amazing montages together. When we talk about
stuff, shit I've like forgotten about.
I decided a lot. I was thinking the other day, I was like talking to somebody about some old movie I did. There are so many things in the archives of random jobs that my husband's never seen, that I forgot about. I feel like at the beginning of every podcast, we should talk about something old, something hilarious that we've done, and see if you can find it.
Well, the problem is, like, some of it I don't even remember. Like, when he pulled up the Sherman Oaks episode where I was working behind the yoga, I had totally forgotten that I did. That was one of my first jobs here in LA, and it was hilarious. The show was a spoof on Beverly Hills 90210.
Right.
The original.
Right.
So, but it was called Sherman Oaks, and it was the lead guy was the guy who was in the Christmas Story, the kid with the glasses, the BB gun. That kid.
Oh my God.
So he was the lead. So I had totally forgotten I had done that. It was like, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? Yeah,
I was talking to somebody the other day about this pilot I did for VH1 called Dirty Famous. This is like back in the time where like Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton were so big in The Simple Life, and so VH1 decided to do this spoof off that about two girls. One wanted to be famous, and the other was her like kind of hanger-on friend. I was the hanger-on friend, and I was going to help make my friend famous by getting her in the tabloids, and like she was a goody-goody, and I was going to like corrupt her and get her in the tabloids. And it's me, her, this other actress, Shar Jackson, and Chelsea Handler.
Oh my God, Shar and Chelsea.
So Chelsea Handler played the publicist, and and Andrew Firestone was hilarious. A bachelor type, right? I guess he had been the bachelor anyway. So we had him like trying to do like a sex tape with her. Like it is so ridiculous. One of the producers was from Curb Your Enthusiasm, so it was all like partially scripted. I mean, it's the dumbest thing, but we had so much.
I know, but it probably would have been a hit. I don't know why they didn't pick it up.
I mean, okay, so let's talk for 1 second because our guest is here, but I feel like maybe, do you want to introduce her? Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, so as you know, we both had COVID. We knew that based on the antibodies. And instinctually, I was like, I want to do something good with what happened because it was, listen, we're lucky because we had it good, even though it was horrible, right?
Yeah.
And I can only say this because I'm suffering with my uncle now. I've already lost a family member to COVID, and now my uncle's in ICU in Baton Rouge, suffering from COVID, and they are trying to put him on the ventilator, but we're trying to push so they done it, and I want to talk to this person about. So I found a support group called Survivior Corps on Facebook, and when I donated my plasma, I posted a picture of it, and they made me a hero of the day or whatever, and they emailed me and asked me to be an ambassador and speak for them, like if there's any interviews or whatever. I told them my whole story and how this all happened, and so we've been keeping in touch. And I was like, we need to do a COVID episode because this podcast is called Worst Ever, right? And 2020 has been the worst ever, and we haven't really touched on that. We've sort of like been surviving through this craziness, oblivious to what's really, not even talking about it. So I feel like if you've had COVID, or if you know someone who's had COVID, if you have the antibodies, this person is going to help us, steer us, and give us some information. Her name is Diana Berrent. I can never say her name. Berrent. And she is the founder of Survivior Corps. Look it up, and we'll get more information from her as well. I'm going to put my mask that they sent me.
We're wearing our Survivior Corps t-shirts today. All right, I'm gonna let her in, and then she can talk a little more about what it is, and how it can.
And I have a lot of questions.
We can share information.
A lot of questions. Yeah.
Diana.
Hi. Oh my gosh! Look at everybody in their Survivior Corps stuff. Oh my God! Wait, I have to take a screenshot of this.
I have to get back farther.
Wait, hold on.
There, that's better.
This is too awesome. Wait, and then I'll introduce something. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. This is too freaking awesome to not capture. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Oh, wait. I turned the flash off. Sorry. You forget the fact that I actually was a professional photographer until like 3 months ago. How quickly we forget. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Okay, cool.
Hi, Diana.
Welcome to the show.
I love this.
So happy to have you on.
Nice to meet you.
It's really nice to meet you too.
Oh my God, look at you drinking through your drinking
know.
mask.
Real quick, while we're talking about the merch, where can they get it? Because the mask is amazing because it has a slit for straws and you can drink. And I love alcohol and coffee.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
I use my metal straw into my wine glass with it.
Oh,
At
perfect.
an outdoor barbecue. I mean, how better to socialize during COVID, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the only way. So yeah, go to survivorcorps.com and you can click on merch and you can get t-shirts and masks and show your Survivor Corps pride. But the drinking masks are awesome. And they are also really, really cool for back to school because the kids can drink from their water bottles during the day without taking their masks off.
Totally.
There you go.
That's
Right?
great.
There you go.
You can get your temperature taken when you go give plasma.
Right.
Without
Which
taking
we're going
your
to talk
mask off.
about. Yeah.
Right?
I donated plasma yesterday, just so you know.
You did?
Yes.
Congratulations. That's awesome. You are a superhero, Alaa.
It was.
How many times has it been? Is this number
3 now?
three?
It's 3. And I have to be honest, I'm sort of selfish about it because, I'm doing it to get my antibody test because I have competitions. No, I don't care. I want to know if I still have the antibodies. So
you can have whatever motivation you want, but you're saving lives regardless.
Yeah. So I go in and I'm like, am I getting an antibody test? Like, yeah, we always do it. I was like, just making sure. Because I was like, if I'm spending an hour and a half in here, you're gonna, But what's interesting is that when I first did it, the Red Cross wouldn't let me do it again for 28 days. And then after I donated, they sent me an email saying I could do it every week now.
They changed their policy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, I did it through the New York Blood Center. So I was able to donate I was actually the first donor through Columbia Columbia University, when they started their convalescent plasma program. I was volunteer number 0001, which was
wow.
So I went in and I had the first antibody test that they gave, which was really cool. But of course, it was so crazy. I had to test negative for the virus. And at that point, nobody was testing negative.
Right.
And they didn't realize that it was taking so long for the virus to clear and there were still dead particles and stuff. So I had to go back a couple of times before it was only on the second time that I got the negative diagnostic test and the positive antibody test. And then I started donating. So my first donation went back to Columbia for research. And then my 7 subsequent donations went for patient transfusion because I'm AB positive blood, which,
Same
by the
here.
way, oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh my God, we are like unicorns.
Yeah, I may be positive.
4% of the population. We are in a major club. So by the way, the last science class I took was in 10th grade. So I've learned a lot in the last 7 months. So blood matches, it turns out, are not the same as plasma matches. And so plasma is AB positive as a universal donor as opposed to a universal recipient. And it's only 4% of the population. And so it is the most valuable plasma there is. So my doctor at Columbia referred to my plasma as liquid gold, as is yours.
Right, that's what they said to me.
But mine isn't anymore. Even though I tested positive on an Abbott test a few weeks ago, I actually got my titer tested last week at Mount Sinai, and it was down to 160. So enough to still.
I don't know what that means.
So it's enough to show positive on an antibody test, but an antibody test is kind of like a pregnancy test. You know what I mean? It shows up, and then what do you do when you get a positive pregnancy test? You go to the doctor and actually get your blood tested. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they can give you an actual numeric value as opposed to just think about the same way. So then you go and find out. So the titer is the actual how many antibodies you have, the concentration of antibodies in your plasma. So you can have a really high titer, in which case you're a super, super valuable donor. There's an article today in the Wall Street Journal about this. It's actually super cool. I get really geeky about this stuff.
No, it's so interesting because it's such a new, first of all, the virus, obviously, we don't know much about. The antibodies, we don't know much about. The plasma, we don't know.
The plasma is not new, though. Convalescent plasma therapy goes back to the 1890s. It was developed to use against diphtheria, and the Nobel Prize was won for it in 1901.
Well, my
So-
question for you then is that because there's so many questions about if it's actually working to help COVID patients.
Oh, it's working. No, Mayo Clinic just released new data this morning. It's definitely working, but it's a matter of, it's one tool in the toolbox.
Right.
It's not I don't think it's a silver bullet that, it's
Right.
going to not, be our one bridge. But what what the pharmaceutical companies are trying to develop is a hyperimmune globulin product, which is a plasma-based therapeutic. So okay, I don't know if you guys like to cook at all, but imagine taking gallons and gallons of plasma and creating a sauce reduction, right?
Got it. Okay.
And then cleaning it out. So you take out all the impurities and you know exactly what's in there. And then you give it either as a transfusion or even really ideally a shot, right into your arm.
Right.
And that could be used right when someone gets sick, or even prophylactically to keep them from getting it, possibly, or to keep them from developing symptoms once they get it. And we need to find as many sort of stopgaps until we get a vaccine, because we're not going to have a globally accessible vaccine anytime soon. So we need to find as many workarounds as possible. And I think that I think plasma is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Just talk for a minute real quick. Go ahead, Christine.
I just wanted to go back a little bit, Diana, and talk about how Survivior Corps started and how you had the idea to come up with it and, gather this kind of information.
So it actually all started with plasma, funny enough. So I got COVID right around when you guys got it. I got
March
exposed.
10th.
Yeah, I got exposed on March 9th. I went to a meeting, and little did I know that two of the people at the meeting had been at a conference in New York. I live right outside of New York City. They had been at a conference in the city from March 2nd to March 7th, and it ended up being a super spreader conference. So no one was symptomatic there. Everyone was infected. It was before masks, it was before social distancing. Social distancing wasn't even a term. It was just don't touch your face and wash your hands a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And everyone was infected. I woke up, one guy died a few weeks later.
From the conference?
From the meeting, this meeting. It was only the third time I'd ever been. It was, this is, okay, this is going to kill you. Want to hear what it was? Literally, it was my third time ever going to group therapy.
Oh, how many people were at the meeting?
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And the super.
So you need the therapy. You need the therapy for the therapy.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I got it from the shrink. Wait, I got it from the shrink.
No.
Wait, it was the American Group Psychotherapy Association. That was the super spreader conference in New York. Can you believe that?
No.
I mean, it's literally you couldn't script it, except for the next part is when I wake up on Friday the 13th, 2020. I mean, literally, could you another thing that you Friday the 13th, 2020, literally the worst date ever is the morning I wake up with 103 fever, a respiratory infection, and everything else out of the blue. And, I was not, I'm curious how you guys sort of I just knew from the second I woke up, I was like, this is it. I don't know how I got it. I don't this is only supposed to affect old people and immunocompromised. What? But I just it was so spot on with every symptom that we knew about at the time. And I'm not a germaphobe at all. I was a photographer until March 12th, and I'm used to my kids go to sleepaway camp during the summer. I am traveling around the world. A year and a half ago, I was chest high in the Ganges River, photographing the world's largest gathering of humanity, chest high in the Ganges River for over an hour. And I didn't even need a Pepto-Bismol. I camped through Africa 2 summers ago, and I was not glamping. I was literally in a pup tent. I trekked through Mongolia with my camera. I've gone all over the place, and I have always prided myself on having this,
Well, now I know why you do psychotherapy.
Right. Oh, there's more than that. There's more than that. Please, we barely scratched the surface. That's nothing. That's nothing. But I am a total news junkie. So I had been watching everything go through China, go through Italy, and being in New York, like just like you guys are in LA, you're like at the gateway to the world. So you know it's only a matter of time before.
Well, I think I think I got it either in New York or Portland. I mean, I was the spreader for Christine, and Alyssa and I got it together. But we just we can't pinpoint exactly where we got it because
where you got it, yeah.
We were in Portland when the outbreak happened. There was a case that was reported, which Alyssa didn't know, and I was keeping the secret because she was working. And when Alyssa works, she's either on set or she's at the hotel. She says, I go out to restaurants, I'm at bars, I'm out all over the place, right? I'm exploring the city, the whole bit. She goes literally from work and then to the hotel. So I'm out all over the place. So I could have got it there, but there was a case that was reported at a school, literally 2 miles down. I went to go get masks because I had heard about the N95 thing in China, and I was like, oh, I should probably order these, and I just never ordered them. I never ordered them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I just never ordered them.
I know what I did. I had ordered toilet paper. I never got to the food shopping. I got sick too fast, and I ordered stock and Zoom. I meant those are the two things I managed to do before I got sick, but I missed out on everything else.
So I was frantic without telling Alyssa what was going on in the news because she had no idea. So I'm calling everyone I know. I need masks. I need N95 masks. We have to fly to New York. We have to go to a wedding. I need masks. I don't want to get on a plane. I'm trying not to be paranoid, but I'm like, I call my friend in Jacksonville, Florida, who, this is going to sound racist, but I'm not, but I'm just saying
when it's like everybody's got a guy,
no, she's my guy, but she's Jewish. So I knew if anyone was going to order these masks, it was going to be my friend Susan. So I called Susan. I go, did you get those masks? She goes, how did you know I got the mask? I go, did you get the mask? She goes, how did you know? And I go, I'm just assuming you got the mask.
Well, I'm Jewish, and that's why I felt like such a disgrace for having not stocked up properly. It was I couldn't believe it. It was so out of character.
So she goes, I just got a box of 20. And I go, I'm begging you.
Make that 19.
FedEx me 2 masks to the hotel in Portland. She FedExed to me. I made a deal that I would get in contact with Justin Bieber for her daughter's birthday because I made a whole deal, and she sent me the mask.
That's the price. Wow.
Yeah, so she sent me the
mask.
That's
a steep price.
Yeah, we had the mask.
That's a heavy ask.
But here's the issue, Diana. At that time, people were saying, "Don't wear the mask. It doesn't work." And in my head, I kept going, well, I don't understand if they're talking about why do doctors and nurses why are they wearing the mask? But they're saying it's not going to help you. And so,
why are they showing people in South Korea in hazmat suits doing the tests?
So people were looking at me like I was crazy and making fun of me because I was wearing a mask at the airport. I was the only one in the Portland airport wearing a mask. So we fly to New York, go to this wedding. I fly back on the 9th. The 10th, I record with Christine and Kate, the reality podcast girl, and I'm surprised she didn't get sick. That night on the 10th, I was down for the count. I'm never a napper. My body was, chills, the fever for me only lasted a couple
I woke up
days.
with 103 fever. I hadn't had a fever in 15 years. You
Yeah,
know what I
I've
mean?
never taken
there
a
was
flu
nothing
shot.
subtle. There was nothing subtle about it. You know what I mean? It wasn't oh, am I sick or am I not? I was like, oh my God. I woke up and it hit me like a ton of bread.
And I didn't, the reason why I wasn't
Were you able to get tested?
So I could not get a test for the life of me. Right. It was impossible to get a test.
Impossible in California, right? They were really hard. They were even harder than in New York.
When I finally could get a test.
No one was prepared. No one was prepared to test anyone.
Yeah,
I had somebody telling me if I wanted a test, it would be $150 and I could go to this private doctor. I was like, so tests are only for rich people? No, I'm not going to do that.
Christine, I thought that I had infected my entire town. I thought that I was patient zero because I'm a photographer and I just volunteered to photograph an event at our local elementary school. So imagine a
God.
gymnasium, okay, for like little kids. I mean, my kids are 12 and 14. These are like little kids doing a dance performance. So a gymnasium packed with parents, teachers, and all the other kids from the entire school building, all packed in the gym. And you know how, like, as a photographer, you're moving around as
Sure.
close as possible to people in this enclosed room. I was 100% convinced that I was patient zero for my entire town. And so I fought so hard to get tested that's how I initially got media attention, because I had to go, it ended up, my congressman had to intervene in order for me to get tested. And the only reason that I wanted to do it was to be able to tell the school district so that they
Right.
could tell people. And
Right.
I finally got the positive result. School district never reported it.
Well, that's interesting because my sister just had COVID 2 weeks ago. She works in a doctor's office. I don't want to say what kind of doctor. It's like cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's a dermatologist, whatever. She works at
like a fancy man.
yeah. She got COVID. She called the office and said, I've been tested positive for COVID, because her daughter had gotten it and she was around her daughter. So she was worried about getting it. So she got tested, and sure enough, she was positive. And the office said, well, we're just going to say that your kids have it and that's why you're staying at home.
Oh my God. I mean, people
this is in Florida. This is in Florida. So then her husband calls his job.
Insanity. It's crazy.
And he said, my wife tested positive. I'm going to get tested. And they said, well, no matter what, come to work on Monday. This is a don't ask, don't tell situation.
Right.
So that's the reality of what's going on in the country, especially in states like Florida, because it's like out of sight, out of mind. I went to Florida in January because I lost my uncle. So I had the antibodies, thank you. And my other uncle right now, as we speak, is in ICU with COVID. That's why I definitely went to donate. I'm trying to donate as much as possible, just in his honor, And when I went to Florida in June, when was it? Yeah, June. I literally was the only one wearing a mask in a public space. God. It was crazy. And I was like, it was like a pandemic never happened. Yeah. And then like, what's weird too, and we can talk about, there's so many different discrepancies, is like I landed in Atlanta. It was my first time in a restaurant since the quarantine. I was like, I'm so excited to go eat in a restaurant, It's
like going to my first Starbucks
I know. I'm so excited. And I go, so they temperature check me and I go, okay, that's nice, but my roommate who I gave COVID to was asymptomatic and did not have a temperature. So what are you telling me here? Like, what does that mean?
That is because there is a complete dissonance between policy and science, which is ridiculous. I mean,
Thank you.
So when I couldn't get tested in March, on March 14th, the reason was they told me I had to either prove that I had been in China, Italy, or Iran in the previous month, or I had had 10 to 15 minutes of sustained one-on-one exposure to somebody who had tested positive. Okay. This was 14 days after the very first person in all of New York City was diagnosed, and nobody had come forward with their identity. So it was literally a Kafkaesque situation. Like there was literally no way to prove this. And I was like, but I might have put all of these other people at risk. And I am showing every sign of the virus. And they're like, sorry, you just don't qualify. And
that's how it was for us.
I went on my town Facebook page, which I've actually since been banned from, which is super cool. And I put I put a calendar of everywhere I'd been. And people are like, oh my God, that's so brave of you. And I was like, I mean, this isn't a venereal disease. It's only the world's most contagious virus. I mean, I wasn't making out with somebody to get it. I was literally sitting across the room from my shrink. I mean, like, it's hardly deviant. You know what I mean? Like, why is that brave? Like, it was so crazy. But anyway, fast forward, it's now the end of September. My kids are in school. My daughter's she's a freshman in high school, and the school just closed down for the third time in 3 weeks because guess what? Guess what their definition of contact tracing is? The exact same definition that kept me from getting tested on March 14th. You have to have 10 minutes of maskless one-on-one exposure to, and, within 6 feet. So as long as they space them out and say, well, they're, if you, however you define your terms, it's like if you don't test, then you have no cases. If you define contact tracing so narrowly, then you don't have to contact anybody. But great, we've now shut down 3 times in 3 weeks, and New York City's numbers have doubled in the last 2 days.
Right.
I mean, like, there's such a dissonance. So like the temperature check is a perfect example. So I'll give you a little preview of a study that we're going to be putting out soon. So this will be actually the largest study done so far of non-hospitalized COVID patients. We did a study, we've been working with Indiana University School of Medicine and this doctor there, Natalie Lambert, who's just amazing. And we had over 4,000 people complete this survey, which is just like extraordinary. And
this is the survey that you sent us.
Yeah. You guys did it. Yeah. So you're a part of this. You're a part of this. This is going
very thorough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was very thorough. We had to actually extend the deadline because it was taking people days to fill out, people who were really having a lot of issues. And anyway, so we're going to start being able to release the results of that in the next week or so. And one of the first things that we saw from it was less than or around 1/3 of people had a fever at any time. And remember, these are only adults, 18 plus, to participate in the survey. So we're not talking about kids who are much less likely to present with a fever. Both my kids had it. Everyone in my family had it. I'm the only person who had a fever.
Same.
The other 3
Same
didn't.
here.
Right. And so by using only 1/3 ever have a fever, forget about it being the presenting symptom. And we're using temperature checks as a screening device for schools, for restaurants, for, hospitals, for doctors' offices, for everything. I mean, which is great if you're screening for the flu, but not if you're trying to screen for COVID. It's using yesterday's solutions to try to solve today's problems, which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, why are we having kids take mask breaks in school if we know it's an aerosolized virus? Have them go outside to take the mask break. Let them be a little cold. Let them be a little hot. We don't know how it affects their bodies in the long run. I mean, it's so crazy that none of this is based in science.
Well, I want Christine to tell you a little bit about, because she's directing a couple episodes of the Goldbergs. And go ahead and tell Diana the protocol that you guys use on set.
So this protocol was designed as it's a conjunction between 3 major unions, right, to get everybody working safely: SAG-AFTRA, the Directors Guild, and the Writers Guild, which I guess I would say the Directors Guild also covers producers. So essentially, and every studio is a little different, every set is a little different, but essentially we all agree on the same thing, which is that everybody mandatory N95 masks. Not your own N95. There's a zoning. So there's like 3 zones. There's zone C, which is people, I think I'm saying this all correctly. Zone C is basically people that stay in a production office, stay in their own offices. They're never allowed at set. They're post-production, they're in their own thing. Zone B are people like writers, producers, people who might have to come to solve a problem, but don't come onto set. They could come to like base camp to talk to somebody if need be. There's zone A, which would be like your a lot of your ADs, a lot of the hair and makeup wardrobe departments, people who need to work with actors closely at times, but who are not necessarily going to be sitting on set all day. And then there's a zone A plus, which is a director, your cameraman, your DP, your first AD, your script supervisor, like the people who are very small that we are there. So what happens on a set is that, your construction comes in, they build your sets, they leave, they never come back. Then we have like myself and say our stand-ins would come on set, and we would work out maybe some of the schematics before the actors get there. The cameras would get a chance to do their thing. Lighting would come in, kind of do their thing. All of those people leave, get cleared out. They wait, then they bring in actors. Shields go on. Everybody that's anywhere near within 10 feet of an actor, and now they're just saying whenever actors get on set, everybody wear a shield. It's because you never know when you're gonna like round a corner.
And you have a mask. You have a mask underneath the shield, or you have the N95 underneath the shield, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
absolutely.
because I've seen a lot of people wearing these shields without a mask underneath, and let me
not
say
effective.
right now that is not effective for anyone who's listening. Not effective.
Right. So we have both. The actors come on mostly wearing masks, and then once we get on set and we kind of get the we understand what we're all going to be doing, we chat a little bit, and then we try when they take off their masks, and we go. But there's no like hair and makeup on set anymore. Everything is outside. Even the hair and makeup stations are now outside.
And how are they are they testing you every day? Are they batch testing you? How are they doing that?
So the testing for different zones is different. So for A+, it's 3 times a week. So I was tested twice during my prep week, and then I was tested Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Were they antigen tests or PCR tests? Like,
they were nasal swabs.
Nasal swab that it came back, like how long did it take for them to process it?
I think an hour or two. I wouldn't get a negative. You only get called if it's positive.
Okay. Interesting. I wonder what
they mean. Yeah. So, but everything is like barcoded. So essentially, there's, and then there was also a COVID nurse on set, which we call the COVID police, but there's someone there we have a safety meeting every morning outlining, just reminding everybody what we're doing. And there's somebody on set literally just watching and making adjustments.
Wow. That's
saying,
great.
Excuse me, I'm just going to give you a gentle tap. Remember your shield.
Right.
Or excuse me. So there is a temperature check when you walk on stage. Of course,
Right. But I mean, it's fine to use if you're using it in, like, if it's one tool in conjunction in your toolbox. It's just it's just being used as the only screening device. I mean, that sounds, but that's an example of the fact that it can be done. You need to think out the box. You need to look at the NBA bubble.
Right.
They did it.
And knock on wood, I was the 4th episode. We finished last week. In the 4 episodes so far, there has not been one positive test. There has not been one person who's had to be sent home. So, knock on wood that, and everybody, there was a reminder even on Friday, like, guys, we're coming up on a weekend. Please make smart decisions about how you stay safe over the weekend so that we can all continue to be employed. And I think it's like you're having to trust everybody, just like you would trust somebody within your familial bubble or school pod or,
Right, but like, I mean, trusting a group of ninth graders is a different
story.
Right.
That's a different story.
Right.
That's
I get tested every week and a half, 2 weeks usually, just for COVID, just because I am going around friends who've got elderly family members, and just it's more about me not feeling, God forbid they do get something, I don't want them to go, they got it from me. So I always like present it before I go in. I'm like, here's my test, because I'm like, it can't be from me.
I think you've got a little bit of Muslim guilt for like.
I have a lot of Muslim guilt. Are you kidding?
It's really weighing on you there. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I don't want to be the blame for anything,
Because I gotta tell you, statistically, the chances right now, I mean, we've had like 30 cases of reinfection out of how many million infections, the chances that you're going to be the 31st right now. But yes, I think that the more careful everyone is, I mean, I wear my mask everywhere. I freak out if I find myself in a crowded place, or if I see people who aren't, behaving responsibly. Like I literally, I have a physical reaction. Like I have
interesting?
Now. Do you have that?
I feel like
it's a visceral kind of reaction.
Yeah, like I definitely, even though we were all wearing masks and shields, it was interesting to be around a group of people at work, because I'm not around groups of people anymore. Maybe at the grocery store, but even there, it's like you're moving.
Right.
Right. So you're kind of doing that thing like, I don't want to get too close. Oh, sorry, I was standing too close to you. Like you're doing a lot of like that. But in some ways, I also think it was, I mean, it was really nice, just personally, to be around comedy again, to be around people who are making each other laugh. Like there was something really beautiful about it. At one point, so this is the other crazy thing. I can't tell any storyline things, but at one point we were filming something, it was outside, and it was with our main cast and a few of our guest stars. So it was a significant portion of people of main cast. And there was like dancing happening, and I had this big crane shot at the end, and I'm watching our cast dance together and laugh and like really genuinely having fun. And I'm like walking by the monitor, and I have like a microphone now because I talk to them via microphone, so I don't have to go in so often. And I was like, this is so beautiful. Like, I was like, everybody's laughing. Oh my God.
Well, listen, like Arabs are dumb. I'm one, so I can say it. I found out in Orlando, because my parents live in Orlando, that they had a 500-person wedding last month, and I almost lost it. Yes. And my cousin is having a 250 to 300-person wedding in October in Orlando. It's freaking, I've forbid my parents. I'm like, you will not go. They're like, don't worry, because my parents are freaking out, and not, thank God, but because my uncle now he's there, and he's like in really bad condition. It scared them even more, because I was like, do you understand now that you can't relax? You can't relax at all.
Yeah, the fatigue is real. The fatigue people are having is real.
It affects.
We have indoor dining here.
Well, Florida has 100% capacity, no mask required.
Yeah. Well,
it's crazy.
There's masks in the restaurant. I mean, people are eating. They're not.
Well, no, I get it.
It's not at full. It's not at full capacity, but it's still. I mean, it's pretty close. It's.
Well,
I
LA,
don't think I'm
LA,
I look at people. I think they're insane.
Well, listen, LA. We're still at outdoor dining. They just opened hair salons, which I just got a haircut for the first time.
It looks lovely.
Thank you. Like a couple weeks ago, which was I felt pretty safe the way my hairdresser was handling. Like even around my ear, she's like, "Hold your mask." She'd move my thing and da-da-da. What is the touch thing? Like things. Is it transferable? Huh?
The technical term is fomites.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So the virus is aerosolized, and depending on how big that, an aerosolized droplet, like the droplet depending on the size of the particle determines how long it stays in the air, but it'll eventually fall. The heavier the droplet is, the more it falls, the less, the more it disperses into the air. When it falls onto a surface, then it's called a fomite. And so that's like everyone Cloroxing their groceries all spring, which I also missed out on apparently. But it goes back and forth day to day. Like if you follow the experts on the fomites, literally, I mean, I could tell you what they said yesterday because it was different from what they said the day before, but like, I'm not sure that it won't be different tomorrow. So I think the more important part is the fact that it is aerosolized, and the best way someone gave me a good description of that, because I was trying to really describe it to my kids of like having them, I wasn't getting it across. And I was like, okay, imagine this. Imagine that you're sitting in the living room and I go out on the deck to sneak a cigarette. You're totally going to catch me, because if the window's even slightly open, you're going to smell it, right?
Right.
Imagine that wherever you could smell cigarette smoke, you could also be getting the virus.
Wow.
So someone could be standing around the corner from you. You smell that cigarette, right?
Right.
Sure.
First thing in the morning, it makes me nauseated. Late at night, I won't, I'm trying to bum one from the person, but it smells different at different times of day, but you smell it. And so it's the same thing. That's how it moves through the air. So someone can like around the corner. Someone can use a restroom, leave, you go back into that restroom, and it's in the air, both from the person and from the toilet, because, it passes through multiple body fluids. And why do toilets not have lids? Why? Like,
Why?
shouldn't they everywhere? I mean, that's so gross.
That is gross.
Well,
when
we
you really
didn't think about
It's
it. We didn't think
Never
about it
yeah.
until
thought about it before, but like, I mean, it's really vile. Although I have to tell you, taking the New York subway with the mask on, I'm never going back. I mean, it is a whole new experience.
Really?
It's so much more pleasant. Yeah,
I
it's much
listen.
better. Yeah, I
I
now feel like I would never ride the subway again without.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Why
It's,
Well, I've
not?
heard
it's so much
I've
more
heard they
civilized.
Yeah.
cleaned it up a lot, right?
Yeah, it's been clean, and yeah, it's been.
What do you think about flying? Because I flew. I
I
had two different experiences. My flight to Florida, I flew Delta, and they were social distancing. They were cutting the middle seats, or if you were in first, had your own row. There was,
Mhm.
and they literally hand you a bag with a bottle of water, Cheez-Its, and a Purell wipe. No joke. There is no service. If you want another bottle of water, they will come with a tray and you pick it up, and that's it. Then because I stayed in Florida for like over a month, and I flew back after July, but I booked my ticket before July 1st on American Airlines. Because I wanted to fly into Burbank because it's just so much closer and so much more convenient. So, and I had to stop in Dallas on the way there, on the way back. And I got upgraded to first class. I'm sitting in first class. This lady comes to put her stuff next to me. I go, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And she goes, "This is my
They
seat."
have they had a totally different policy.
Completely different policy. I go, "You're sitting next to me?"
Wait,
And she's
see,
like,
why
"Yeah,
aren't these things standardized? Like, if it's
yeah,
good for
yeah,
one airline, then it's obviously good for
yeah,
all air. Like,
yeah."
nothing make no sense.
So I go, "Oh, okay." So I go to the flight attendant. I go, "Are you guys not social distancing?" She goes, "Yeah, as of July 1st, the laws changed. We can sell." So they wanted to sell more seats. So I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I bought my ticket before July 1st. So don't you think that that's something that you should let the passengers who've bought a ticket thinking that the
Expecting
plane
one
was
thing.
Right,
expecting one thing?"
exactly,
And she's like,
exactly.
"Yeah, I'm sorry." And I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't want to lose my first class seat. And
Right. But what if you were like medically fragile and hadn't already had COVID? Do you know what I mean?
So I literally had the window. You have to wear your mask on the whole time. But American and First sells. I mean, they don't sell. They serve full booze, the whole bit. You're getting cocktails, the whole bit. The whole time I'm at my window. I'm just facing the window, asking for. It's like, all right, but I was shocked. I was like, huh? They go, yeah, only Delta and Southwest, and I think JetBlue are social distancing. United and American are not. And I was like, wow, that's good to know. It should be a standardized thing.
Yeah, I'm going to DC this weekend. I'm speaking on Sunday at the National COVID Remembrance in DC. And it's the first time I've gone anywhere since all of this happened. So like, I just booked a hotel room. Like, how bizarre.
I've stayed in
like,
hotels.
I can't even imagine. It's going to be so weird.
I've stayed in hotels. It's actually not, I felt maybe I just have a because of having it before, I have a sense of security. Like I felt a little more relaxed. Like the hotels were good. So I felt safe about it. Are you taking the train?
Yeah, I just booked the train. Yeah, I'm going to take Amtrak.
I'm curious to see how that's done.
It shows you what percentage full, and it was like 25% full. Yeah. So the other one was 15%, and then another one was sold out. So my guess is that they're capping it out at a pretty low number, but I'll report back. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
But I mean, I'm fascinated by these stories of like Christine's about how the studios are going back to work, because like all of those solutions can be scaled in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, why aren't we going back to school, but putting kids in pods, batch testing the pod every single day, have them eat in the classroom, every time there's that batch goes positive, that pod goes remote for 14 days, and then why is this so complicated? Like,
it should
I was wondering why they're not. I mean, I don't know if this makes sense, but why not move the teachers around rather than the class, especially in high school situations. Like put pods together of kids who are studying the same things and just literally move the one teacher into that classroom and rotate them rather than having the kids go through the school to, you know, I was like,
I think it's an exposure thing. So so teachers don't want to be exposed to 150 kids. They would rather be exposed to a smaller number of children. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
but the teachers in
like,
plastic boxes.
Regardless, there's like I mean, the fact that, you know, I just spoke about this on social media about going back to work, and there was someone who responded, it's like, wow, like, why can't our teachers union get this together? You guys can all get tested, and here we are, like, she's like, I don't want to go back to work. I'm scared, but I have to.
I feel terrible. I mean, I think the teacher, I mean, I feel so sorry for these teachers. They're putting their lives at risk.
It's horrible for them. There's no guarantees. There's no, and
you put in this position.
And we could have done this, and like, you know, my sister-in-law is a teacher, and she's now having to do both. So her workload has doubled. Her pay is the same. So she is creating online curriculum, and then she is also going in to teach, and then she is also dealing with her children
and putting their lives on the line.
How are we? Sorry. How is anyone expected to serve? You know, to manage all of these different things? It's
it's asking too much of anybody. And
I know,
you know,
but everyone was just left to their own devices, and this is the problem. There's no unified front on how to handle this, because we don't have a unified front on how to handle a pandemic. We weren't given, no one was given the information when we should have had it, and this continues to happen. And if we don't lock it down, we'll never get through it, and things will never actually be able to reopen. So all these people who keep saying open, we just need things to open. But we can't deal with opening it until we like get it under control. So the fact is, stuff is going to keep closing, and stuff is going to keep shuttering forever. Like one of the oldest yoga studios in LA just closed. Who knows if it'll ever come back?
Yeah.
So I get very frustrated with people, because, you know, I understand people want their freedom. I do too. But I also don't know how many people have to die because of it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
the human toll of this.
I mean, I wish that we could have.
I know. And I fear that we're past the point of where we can even get the genie back in the bottle, you know?
No, we're way past
I mean, I don't know if there had been the national leadership to shut everything down for, you know, I don't even after everything went wrong over the summer, even after everything was handled so poorly in the spring and not much better over this summer, why didn't we just shut down for the month of August? Nothing happens in August anyway. Bring out the freaking National Guard, lock everyone down. You know what I mean? Fine them for being outside unless you were like literally keeping the power on. And we could have been done with it and opened up in September. We could have opened up all schools, all businesses, the economy could come back, and we could have gotten rid of the virus.
I mean, I feel like that's what
they did. Well, that's what Jordan, my cousin in Jordan, she said they locked everyone down for like a month or two. The government came and brought boxes of groceries to every household, literally every week. They would bring a box of groceries.
Israel just had to do it because they had a spike. They had controlled it for a while.
Oh no, it sounds so socialist and horrible.
I know.
That people can eat food during a pandemic. Well, how horrible.
Let's talk real quick more about Survivior Corps and what it's about and the long haulers, because
okay. So we gotta. This was like a 45-minute tangent, but right. So I got sick. I went into I was in isolation for 18 days. During that time, the New York Post gave me a column and a video blog that I chronicled my experience through COVID, and I became sort of the face of the average COVID patient, the non-hospitalized patient. And so I was like, every news station all of a sudden wanted me because I was like a good news story because everything else in New York was like people on ventilators and, you know, hospital tents being put up in Central Park. And so people started sending me notifications from Mount Sinai. They had just opened up the first convalescent plasma program. And everyone was sending it to me because I was the only person anyone knew who, had COVID at the time or was public about it. And I realized immediately that like this was ridiculous because Mount Sinai wasn't going to be the only shop in town for very long. And they weren't. Columbia, Montefiore, Rockefeller Center, all these other hospitals opened within weeks. And I sort of forecast that there was going to become a free market for plasma. It was going to be a needed, which it has been. It was going to be needed to fight the virus, and the way to get it is from survivors. And so survivors were going to be a commodity, and that there was no, there's no room in my mind in the middle of a pandemic and during a moment of, collective global crisis for competition. You need collaboration and efficiency. And so it seemed, instead of having these research hospitals all fighting for patients, I realized, well, if I could just sort of start, if I could gather, if I'm going to be one of the first survivors, surely there will be thousands to follow. Little did I know that it would be millions to follow. But I was like, okay, if I could save a few lives by donating my plasma, imagine if we could come together as a coalition to support science. Right. And so that's how I started Survivior Corps with, I started on March 24th while I was still in isolation. Wow. And with the mission of mobilizing an army of survivors to donate their plasma and support science in every way possible by participating in every academic, medical, and scientific study for which they qualify. So I started as a Facebook group. We are at, I believe, 107,000 members. Now we have, and I will say about the Facebook group, given the fact that we are living in literally the most fractured political and social period of our collective lives, and it is an open group, open to everybody. There's no bar to entry. We will kick you out for a whole lot of things.
Right.
It's a, one conspiracy theory, you're out kind of situation. Right. It is, I call it the epicenter of hope because it is literally the most civil, supportive conversation going on among 100,000+ strangers in America. It is the most diverse group of people. The only thing that they all have in common is that they've all been touched by this extraordinarily contagious virus. So it is truly a remarkable space. And we have a website, survivorcorps.com. It's CORPS. I named it after the Peace Corps. I envisioned this as being sort of the Peace Corps of the COVID generation. And by COVID generation, I refer to everyone who is literally alive on the planet right now, is a part of that generation, I think. And so the website is a one-stop shop on where to give back, how to get, where to sign up to give plasma, studies, FAQs on what is the difference between a PCR test and an antigen test. What does this mean? What is a hyperimmune globulin product? Like a lot of resources, and we're doing our own research. So, if you think about it from a Mile High perspective, as a nation, as a globe, well, no, that's not true. Other countries are counting things that we're not. But at least in this country, we are tracking infections, hospitalization, and mortality. Now, most people are not hospitalized with COVID, right? Did you guys ever go to the doctor with COVID?
No, I was too scared.
I had a telehealth.
Right.
They were like, well, if it gets bad, go to the hospital.
Exactly.
We don't know what else to do. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that's it. And when else in your life are you told, like, yes, you have this novel illness. We know nothing about, you're very, very sick and you could die, but don't worry. Just stay at home. Right. Don't seek any medical help of any kind unless you literally think that you're dying, in which case go to the emergency room, but avoid it at all costs. Right. So there is no medical data on all the people like us who had the Tylenol and Gatorade kind of COVID.
And the turmeric.
Right? Like as I refer to the Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson variety of COVID, right? So nobody's tracking us. And they're not tracking you guys at all because you never even counted as being infected, right?
Yes, we weren't counted.
Okay.
That's where we lost you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, so when you think about it, we are, the vast majority of people are listed as being recovered. And at the same time, the CDC is telling us that 1 in 3 people are not actually recovering in time. They're having these long haul symptoms and they are not getting better. And of those, 1 in 5 are young, healthy people with no pre-existing conditions. And when I say young, that's defined as 18 to 34. I'm 46. I am far from that category. I'm in the 1 in 3, not in the 1 in 5. And, what's really frightening is to look at the people who, and these are people who had the Tylenol and Gatorade varieties, like the mild to average. And there was a lag before the world started to see them because they weren't under anyone's medical care. So we're tracking people who are in the hospital because they're being followed up with by their pulmonologist and their doctors and so on and so forth, as anyone would be who's been hospitalized. But the same isn't true for, the rest of us. And so what we started to see in Survivior Corps, because we have in many ways been the canary in the COVID coal mine from the beginning. So we saw COVID toes a month before it hit the media. We've seen all of these things, with a huge gap in time. So we started to see by the end of April, we saw members who were not recovering. We had our first national media piece on long haulers before it had a name. On May 17th on NBC Nightly News about one of our members. I mean, isn't that crazy to think about, that the world is finally focusing on it now? So in many ways, we've become a patient advocacy group because we've had to. Because there are a huge number of people, many of them in their 20s and 30s with no pre-existing health conditions, who are, marathon runners and fitness instructors who are literally having heart attacks and strokes months after having had average cases of COVID. People who are having severe neurological impacts.
No, I have a friend who's younger than me who had COVID, 2 months later had a blood clot in his leg. Mm-hmm. Who's had no pre-existing condition whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's interesting is everyone has, like, for instance, like even during COVID,
they're all different.
Christine had no taste, no smell. I had taste and smell. I don't. So everyone's different. And like my big thing, and I've told you, Diana, is the brain fog. That brain fog. Like I've never experienced it before.
I didn't get that.
I have it still, and I tell Christine, I'm like, I cannot, like, there'll be things, I literally have to write things down that I've never, like, you put your keys over here, like that kind of stuff.
Right. Now imagine if you were a pilot or a surgeon.
Right.
You couldn't go back to work.
And then, and people, what I found interesting about Survivior Corps and all the resources, like, and just being able to relate to people who have had the same experience. You type in one question and about 1,000 of them are like, me too. Yeah. And it's so gratifying. It like makes you feel like, okay, you're not going crazy, right?
Yes, exactly.
You're not going crazy.
You put your finger on exactly that. I mean, that's what our members are experiencing. They're going to the doctor, and I think that it does matter that about 75% of them, according to Mount Sinai, are women. And the fact people are going to doctors and saying, like, I'm having heart pains, I'm having this, I'm having that. And they're being diagnosed with anxiety and depression, which I'm sure they are also anxious and depressed. I mean, who wouldn't be? But they are also having like tachycardia and like really actual medical issues that need medical attention. And they're being gaslit by their doctors. And one of the things that we are trying to do with our research and trying to create an educational feedback loop with the medical and scientific community is being able to, like, I think it's amazing that we have doctors in the group who are in there so that they can be better clinicians, because the members have more knowledge about this virus than any doctor does. So they are getting information, and our members are getting information so that they can self-advocate. so that
For
when
sure.
their doctor says that they're having anxiety and they know that there's something actually physically wrong with them, they can bring in our symptom list and be like, yeah, well, look at this. And they literally bring it in and highlight all of their symptoms to convince the doctor.
I've had that experience because I went to it's a new doctor for me, and I couldn't get in because initially my first appointment was in March, and she's a lovely doctor and I like her and she listens to me, but I'm a very strong personality, so I'm like, I'm going to be my own advocate, and everyone's got to be their own advocate and make sure that they get what they want. But the first thing I said, I want to see a cardiologist, so I need a recommendation. I want a pulmonary doctor, and I want and I've had testicular cancer, so I wanted to go to another cancer doctor that blood, and I want all blood panel, the whole bit. So she's like, well, cardiologist. I go, I had COVID in March. Okay, I know I had COVID in March. She goes, well, I go, and I have heart disease in my family. So she goes, okay, I'll get Carla. So then I went back, I want a pulmonary doctor. She's like, but why? And your lungs are fine. And I go, I had COVID in March. I want to make sure that that I'm okay. But it's like,
you shouldn't have to be fighting for it. So like I got accepted into Mount Sinai's post-COVID care center, which is the first of its kind in the country. There are only a couple of others in the country right now, but it's what we need for everybody. So you see basically a gatekeeper doctor, and they refer you, then you go see that I've been to the gastroenterologist and the ENT and the cardiologist and the ophthalmologist who diagnosed me with post-COVID glaucoma.
oh, wow.
That's fun, right?
Whoa.
Wow, that's a new one to me.
Right, exactly. It's always one fun thing after another. Sorry. And but I am extraordinarily lucky. I had a positive PCR test because without it, I wouldn't have been able to get in there. I have amazing insurance, right? I have and I was able to get in. The waiting list is till next summer to get in. And, we need to have we need post-COVID care centers everywhere around the country. And we need them available to people regardless of insurance, regardless of employment, and regardless of their original diagnosis, because it's, the fact that we didn't have enough tests or that they were faulty shouldn't be these people's burden when they can't apply for disability insurance, or they can't, you know what I mean?
Well, not only that, but God forbid we lose this Affordable Care Act. We are people who have pre-existing conditions now.
100%. Right. 100%. Yeah. And we need to, these are all things that I'm arguing for. Actually, I have an opinion piece in today's USA Today in the actual newspaper. I ran around this morning trying to get a copy of it. Not so easy to find, by the way. I guess unless you're in a hotel, that's right. Seeing them. But I wrote saying that this is what we're demanding. We're demanding post-COVID care centers everywhere with all this criteria. And also we are putting so much money and resources into finding a race to find a vaccine. Right. We need a race to find a therapeutic that doesn't prevent you from getting the virus, but keeps it from developing into worse symptoms.
Right.
So like a therapeutic that you could take very early on, not when you're admitted to the hospital, but ideally before then. And that's where we need to be putting our efforts, because at this rate, we are never going to be able to control the virus. If you have half the country running around without masks, it doesn't matter if you have half of the country who is. We're all screwed. So,
and also vaccine or not, that's a whole other that's a whole other conversation, because there will be people who want to get it, there will be people who don't want to get it, there will be people who forget to get it or forget to get the second dose of it, there will be people who don't have access to it. Exactly.
Not only that, but in all honesty, this vaccine hasn't gone through a normal trial period. So in my opinion, it's we don't even know if it works.
We have no idea. We have no idea. We don't know how it'll be distributed, who will get it first, the timeline of distribution. We know nothing about it. So we need a parallel Operation Warp Speed race for a therapeutic. And so I actually will be, I'll be interviewing Dr. Fauci on Friday. Yeah.
Really?
Can you believe it?
I know.
Oh my
live
gosh.
on that?
Live.
How do we see
on
that?
on this issue, which he has acknowledged and he's spoken about, but he has not spoken in any depth about. So this will be the first time, so it'll be really newsworthy. I mean, it's
That's
really
very
exciting. It's on the record. It's
Great.
me and him.
I need you to get a group together, and I need you guys to go lobby and get this done. Oh, I love it. I love that guy.
I love the Fauci bobblehead. That's
I mean, he's the best. He's the best. Tell him we said hi.
I know. I'm like, there's very little that would really make me fangirl out, but I think this might be it.
Yeah.
I gotta keep it together. But
Yeah.
it is really incredible though, to get his undevoted attention on this issue, because I mean, think about it. It's a syndrome that it doesn't have a name. Like, he named AIDS. Let's get him to give this thing a name, because you can't get a billing code until you have a name. Long haulers is not a name.
I hate the name long haulers.
Yeah. Well, it came out. A girl had a trucker's hat on.
I feel like a trucker. I feel like I'm a fucking
oh my God.
driver.
I did iHeartRadio a couple months ago, like in the middle of the night on America's Trucking Network. And I did the whole show. I stayed up till like 2:00 in the morning to do it. I was so excited. And I do the whole thing. I got off and I was like, oh my God, I was talking about long haulers to long haulers, and I didn't make the connection or even make any reference to it. And I was kicking myself afterwards. I'm like, when's the next opportunity going to be where you get to use that? I mean, that doesn't happen often.
I know you have to go soon because you only have a certain amount of time. You have something else to go to. But another thing that I loved about Survivior Corps going on this was just on the Facebook page, is that there is a section with people who are like looking for plasma, and the stories are so heart-wrenching with photos. I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And I was like, that's what convinced me to donate initially, to be honest with you. Because it was so sad.
Have you noticed the guy who comments on every single, at first in Survivor Corps, it'd be like a whole, I do a superhero alert, like when people post their donor selfies and stuff like that. And we try to really celebrate the whole plasma donation. And there's one guy in the group who posts on every single donor post, "Someone like you saved my life." And it kills me every time. I mean, I see it a dozen times a day, and it's still every single time gets me.
Oh.
Yeah, well, my cousin FaceTimed me yesterday with my uncle in ICU, and I almost lost it. And he's not on a ventilator yet, but that's where they're. And I'll talk to you sometime off on what you think. They want to put him on a ventilator.
Have they done plasma?
They've done plasma. They've done
remdesivir.
Remdesivir. They've done
the newest protocol I've heard is that people getting plasma and remdesivir within 6 hours of admittance, like to do it as early as possible. Yeah.
So they've done all that. He's alert, like he's waving when they take the oxygen mask off. He like can speak, but he's not without the oxygen mask. He's dropping to like below 60, right? And so they're like, because they need the bed, they want to either put him on the ventilator or send him to hospice. That was their option. And I'm like, why would they put him on a ventilator? He's alert. He's awake. He's, I don't know. They're like, but he's not getting better. And I was like, okay. So literally they just transferred him today to another hospital that will keep him longer on that. Because they're like, we don't want to incubate him, put him to.
Yeah. Why you don't want to do that if you don't have to. I mean, if there's one thing we've learned.
Yeah. So, I was like beside myself. I was like, this is crazy. So I don't know. It's just a scary, scary virus. I'm so happy that you started this. I hope people listen. If you know anyone that has COVID, and even if you don't have COVID, you never had it, you have to go on survivorcorps.com. It is so educational and enlightening, and to see just regular people who are suffering from such a crazy virus or have family members, it's important that you go on this site. It's so important. And that you share it.
And if you know somebody who thinks that this thing isn't real,
or thinks that they're safe and it's not going to affect them, or you're upset with whatever. If you don't think that they're taking this seriously enough, take them on a little trip through our Facebook group and have them read some of these posts, and I guarantee you they will change their mind.
Yeah.
All right,
Diana,
please
thank
tell
you so much.
So this is so informative.
Yeah.
I want to put this up as soon as we can.
Thanks, guys. This was great.
Thank you so much for
Share
coming
all-
on, and
Share all your social for us real quick one more time.
Oh, I'm Diana Berrent on Twitter. I had my first viral tweet a couple weeks ago. That was exciting.
Very.
People can get really mean on there. My God.
Oh, you have no
the
idea the hate
tweeting-
mail.
I mean,
Oh, they hate me.
I've been one of those like long time watcher, like, you know, first time
Mm.
caller kind of, long time listener, first time caller kind of people. Like for me, Twitter's always been like kind of cathartic because I had no audience. So I would just, you know, whatever I thought I would say because nobody was responding. It was like me just shouting into the wind.
Right.
Right.
You know. But,
now you
so
have a
Twitter-
platform. Now you have a platform.
I have a platform. Yeah, exactly. It's more fun now.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the others are, but Facebook, just go to Survivor Corps. Yep, Survivor Corps, CORPS. Come join us. Follow. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter.
Support them. Get these masks. Get these
Yep.
shirts.
Masks are great. Donate money.
Donate. Donate.
Just join us. Donate plasma, and just being on there is really like the stories are heartbreaking, but there's also something really heartwarming about seeing, in the same way, Christine, you were talking about, like seeing people be together and what joy brought. Like, you don't realize how, we are so isolated, and this is like a place of connection among strangers in a really scary moment of their lives. And so there's something beautiful about it.
We're so happy you came out. I know we're not CNN or NBC Nightly News,
I like this.
But we're fun, and this is the worst. I was just saying to Christine before you came out, I go, we're the worst ever podcast, and we have not really talked about how worst ever this year has been.
Oh
and
my
so,
God. Well, I know that's what I was
seriously.
thinking. My Friday the 13th, 2020. It was like, it's got to be worst ever, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're so happy. Please send
Thank
your
you,
support.
guys.
Thank you so much.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Diana. And you guys can follow us. We are Worst Ever Podcast at Worst Ever Podcast and Worst Ever PC. I'm Christine Lakin. You can follow me at Yo Lakin.
And I'm Alaa Khaled. You can find me at Alec Led. Don't ask, at Alec Led.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your support, and we'll hear you next time.